Hi, very warm welcome to you. Good afternoon, it's Gene from maverickstar. Guys, I wanted to just share with you what I am doing because I am absolutely appalled with what I have seen with the coverage that has taken place over in Israel and what has been happening more importantly to the Gazan civilians. And I know what you're going to think. You really think, Gene, that the United Nations are going to look into, you making complaints about world leaders? In particular, what I would like to see happen over the coming weeks is vast protests in, all the countries where, that country's president or prime minister has defended what has happened with regards to, in my view, and I think you'll agree, and as well as a lot of other experts here, nothing short of war crimes. And they have broadcasted the fact that they have committed these war crimes to the whole world. So I know you're probably thinking, Gene, the United Nations are not going to look into these complaints. Well, if we all thought like that, then what hope do we have to stop the next time somebody thinks, or the next country that thinks that they can break, international laws and, commit violations of, things like the Geneva Convention. I know because America is one of the people that I'm going to be making the complaints against, obviously Joe Biden and his support for war crimes, his support for what he has not just said about, that he would support Netanyahu in this invasion into Gaza and this war, but also the fact that he has delivered armaments to them as well. I think he should be removed immediately from office, the White House, as well as Richie Sunak, as well as all the others that I won't mention. I think they should all be removed from office. And, I want to encourage you guys that if you want to do this as well, if you feel like, you're like you want to do something right, then I will put the link of this page here for the United Nations Human Rights Office of the High Commissioner, and you can yourselves go onto this website and you can make a complaint yourself. And yes, you can do that, and I will just show you where you can do that. So you see, individuals or groups or of individuals can complain alleging a violation of their rights or the rights of others contained in the human rights treaties. So you are yourself within the right to do this, and I think if enough of us do it, they've got to act. The war crimes I'm talking about is the cutting off of food, water and electricity to start with. It is against the Geneva Convention to do that, and it is considered a war crime, and we have seen Israel do this on Gaza. We've also seen President Biden supporting, as well as Richie Sunak, the British Prime Minister, and I think that they both should be forced to leave their office immediately, if not over the coming weeks. And it is for that reason that I am going to write a complaint, and I hope that it's not going to be the case where the DEA Department for Drug Enforcement over in America is going to be selling drugs to them, to people. So what I'm trying to say here is, you might think it's like the DEA, taking drugs off of drug barons and drug lords and then selling it themselves. Let's hope that it's not the case here, that we write a complaint to the United Nations and that they just simply put it in the bin and do nothing about it. But I reckon if enough of us do this, we can get somewhere. And I think, at least we all feel if we do this that we've done our little bit. I'm sure it won't take long for you to put your complaint in, but the point is that this commissioner has to look into the complaint and respond accordingly. So the war crimes are cutting off the food, water, electricity. I also feel that it is a war crime to tell 1 million Gazan civilians to head south and then bomb them when they get there. I think it's also a war crime not to allow those aid trucks in to pass through the Egyptian border into Gaza. I know that this afternoon there has been a few trucks allowed in. We don't know what the full amount of that will be, but you know. The other thing I think is a war crime is, you know, I think that there has been deliberate attacks on civilian apartment blocks that we've seen just literally be blew to bits and then collapse afterwards. We know that there was a mass loss of life in that incident. I also think that when civilians have nowhere else to go and they hide in a religious building like a church or a mosque, as we heard today, you know, that was the case, and people were blew up whilst seeking refuge in a church today. And we've also heard that mosques have been hit. I'm also going to add to the complaint that I am sure that America and the UK, but we'll leave it to the United Nations Commissioner to look into this, the supplying of Ukrainians with cluster bombs, because cluster bombs, ammunitions, are banned also under the Geneva Convention. What we are witnessing that is right now, guys, is a complete and blatant disregard for international law. And if the United Nations are a department that are prepared to stand up when these laws are infringed, then they should act on this complaint, as well as if you decide to do the same, they should act on your complaints as well, because a breach of international law is a breach regardless. And I'm sure that it would be easy proven with what we've seen with the statements that Rishi Sunak, as well as Joe Biden and other prime ministers and presidents in other countries supporting that, it is nothing short of aiding and abetting with war criminals, basically people that have broken international law in committing these offences, and in particular the Geneva Convention. So, you know, I'm hoping that you'll join me on this. You know, I will put the link down there in the description, and I'm hoping that, you know, you will find the time at some point over today or tomorrow or the next day to, you know, put your complaint in as well, because I'm sure if there is a lot of complaints put in, you know, there will be something done about it. I also believe that we should right now be protesting for, you know, the immediate removal of Joe Biden, Netanyahu and Rishi Sunak to leave the office right now, because, you know, supporting war crimes is, in my view, the most heinous of crimes. It is absolutely despicable, and what we've all witnessed in the last 14 days in Gaza is horrifying, and nothing short, I'm sure you'll agree, of violations of human rights, basic human rights. I'm also going to add to the fact that I disagree with the Secretary General's quotes that he's made on the United Nations website with regards to climate, because he is supposed to uphold, as the senior member of the United Nations, you know, basic democratic human rights. And when we see him targeting you know, alternative medias, and we've seen it again, you know, the evidence is in the media. We've seen them go now after Elon Musk with Twitter, which was now been renamed to X for whatever reason, I don't know, but, you know, they are issuing fines for him not doing enough to remove you know, comments made by Hamas members. But I just want to reiterate the fact that if we do have human rights, then they should be upheld, and no one should be allowed to infringe on them rights, even if you are the senior member of the United Nations. You know, the laws have to be upheld regardless. And, you know, I think he should resign from his position. I really do, with the fact that he said he wanted to target digital space, which we know what he means by that. You know, and you know, he should also apologise for those appalling statements that he's made in writing on that website. you know, with regards to what he has accused people on social media of doing. In that, you know, first of all, he said that we was responsible for committing and destroying democracy. We was accused of, you know, causing wars, spreading hatred. All of it is nothing short of lies. But I just can't believe, guys, that we live in a day and age like we do right now, and all these things are taking place. It's wrong on multiple levels, and just because these are presidents and prime ministers and senior members of the United Nations, it does not give them the right to break these laws that they are supposed to be upholding. I'm sure you'll agree this has gone way too far. There are multiple breaches, and they should be, if the United Nations are a responsible organisation, even if it means investigating themselves, they should do it immediately. And, you know, there should also be some upholding of the law with regards to what we have seen taking place, you know, sadly over the last 14 days. So I will put the link in the description, guys. I'm hoping that you'll join me in this little campaign, and you know, I hope that you can spread this on other social media platforms and mention it in other people's videos on YouTube in the comments section. I'd like to know what your opinion is of this. I can imagine what some of you are going to say, but you know, I would still like to know what your opinions are, and you know, if you could do that in the comment section, that'd be great, guys. The other thing I wanted to mention is our link for funding on PayPal. It's down there in the description also. It's just that we are seeing in the last 2 months, I don't know why, you know, a major decline in the support that we get. You know, if you want to support some of the things we do, and I really hope that is the case, then, you know, we've got to start using those links, you know, where we can get some support going, and we can drive bigger campaigns, you know, for issues like this, with not just, you know, asking people to fill out, you know, forms to make complaints, but also putting billboards up there, in literally embarrassing these people that are committing these crimes. So, you know, the link is there also. Guys, thank you very much for your time. I will say what I usually do. You take care of your loved ones. As always, bye for now.